The surviving children of Eleanor of Castile and Edward I. Henry was born on the 6th of May 1268. He was born in Windsor Castle during the reign of his grandfather Henry III. On the 3rd of August 1271, Henry's older brother John died in the custody of their paternal granduncle Richard I, Earl of Cornwall. His death left Henry the eldest surviving child of Edward and the second in line to the throne of England. Henry III died on the 16th of November 1272. In 1273, Henry was betrothed to Joan of Navarre. In 1274, Henry got ill. His parents didn't bother to make the short journey from London to see him. He was looked after by his grandmother Eleanor of Provence, who had raised him during the 4 years his parents were on crusade. He died at age 6 from natural causes. He was buried in Westminster Abbey. Next up is Eleanor. Eleanor was born on the 18th of June 1269. She was mostly raised by her paternal grandmother Eleanor of Provence. When her parents were on crusade for 4 years, she was also close with her younger brother Henry. For most of Eleanor's life, she was betrothed to Alfonso III of Aragon, but Alfonso died before the marriage could take place. Eleanor later married Count Henry III of Bar on the 20th of September 1293. The couple had 2 children together, Edward and Joan. Eleanor died on the 29th of August 1294. Eleanor was buried in Westminster Abbey, but her location of her grave is unknown. Next up is Joan, or what she is sometimes called Joanna. Joan was born sometime in the April of 1272. She was born in the kingdom of Oz, Outmena, now in modern Israel. She was born while her parents were on crusade. Her parents left Oz shortly after Joan's birth. They travelled to Sicily in Spain before leaving Joan with Eleanor's mother, Joan Countess of Ponthieu, in France. Joan lived with her grandmother for several years in France, where she spent her time educated by a bishop and being spoiled by her grandmother. When Joan was growing up with her grandmother, her father went back to England, already arranging marriages for his daughter. He hoped to gain political power and wealth with his very business lifestyle. She was betrothed to Rudolph I of Germany. Her father then brought Joan home from France for the first time to meet him, as she had spent her entire life away from Edward and Eleanor. When she returned, she stood in no awe of her parents, and she didn't really have a relationship with them. Before Joan could meet her soon-to-be husband, he died. It was reported that he had fallen through a shallow piece of ice. Edward immediately arranged the second marriage almost immediately after the death of her soon-to-be husband, which didn't happen. Eleanor ended up marrying Gilbert de Clare, Earl of Gloucester, who was 30 years older than her and freshly divorced. Joan married on the 30th of April 1290 at Westminster Abbey, and she had 4 children with her new husband, but more about them at the end. Joan's first husband died on the 7th of December 1295. Joan had been a widow for over a year. Then she caught the eyes of Ralph de Mortimer, attendant in her father's household. Joan and Ralph married in secret. Joan sent her 4 young children to their grandfather in hopes that their sweetness would win Edward's favour, but her plan backfired. The king soon discovered his daughter's intentions, but he was not aware that she had already committed to them. After a while, Joan had told her father she had married Ralph. The king wasn't impressed, so he sent her husband to prison. The king soon relented and let her husband go and granted him the titles Earl of Gloucester and Earl of Hertford. and rose in the king's favour during Joan's lifetime. Eleanor had 4 children with her first husband and 4 children with her second husband. Her children were Eleanor, Elizabeth, Margaret, Thomas, Gilbert, Mary, Joan and Edward. Joan died the 23rd of April 1307. People think that she most likely died at childbirth, which was a common cause of death at the time, but her cause of death has not been confirmed yet.